Hey, how's it going, everybody? My name is Sean.
I'm Sarah.
And welcome to another special edition of our ongoing response to Anita Sarkeesian's Women in Video Games
Extravaganza.
something tropes versus something or other. Tropes versus women in video games. Is that what it is? Tropes versus women in video games?
Yes.
I can't even remember anymore. So lost. Anyways, this is her last one.
For Damsel in Distress.
Yeah, and I think I will title this episode Dudes in Distress.
Question mark?
Question mark, yeah. As you could tell by the rising intonation of my voice. So, I was kind of under the impression before I watched this, that this was going to be her positive.
No,
a
me too.
more positive video, giving positive examples and whatnot, like, about the trope and how the subversion of the trope.
Yeah, because that's what the second installment leads you to believe, is like you're going to explore the more positive.
Yeah, that's what I thought,
It's what she says.
Is that what she says? It's been a while since I watched the other one. I don't, religiously
That's how
watch it.
No, I don't either. No, that's how it ended.
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah,
so going into this one, I was like, you know what? Maybe this will be something like I could
be the game changer.
I could not necessarily a game changer, but it's something I could actually maybe agree with on a fundamental level.
Yeah.
Because that's a lot of the problem I have with her stuff in general is that it's there's fundamental flaws.
Yeah.
And the bias is just kind of astounding, and there's no lack of context or kind of larger cultural awareness, even though she claims to the contrary. But I think the biggest problem I have is the lack of context with a lot of the things she does. I mean, there's she hangs a lot on this video, as far as because she's trying to show how some female protagonists being the main characters from classic video games. She hangs a lot on the Nintendo DS game Super Princess Peach.
Yeah, a lot. It's most of the video. This video felt super short.
Well, it was 23 minutes. I think it's about in line with the other ones. I think the other ones might be a few minutes longer, give or take.
Yeah. I don't know, this one just felt really short to me.
Yeah, it did. It did.
And it didn't really say much.
Because she kind of just reiterates the same point over and over again. And this one is kind of her I guess, quote unquote, attack on indie games, and how they're not being culturally responsible and not subverting gender stereotypes to her liking.
Yeah,
I guess that's
there was a few, but
I think the Super Princess Peach thing is probably the closest thing she had on there to actual being okay, well that's a little.
Well, she got mad about it though. Still.
No, what I'm saying is that. To kind of prove her point, that's the best example she had, because she didn't really have too many examples, actually. And everything else, even indie games and stuff like that, she kind of is very short and brief and doesn't do any type of analysis at all. Just showing you little things where she feels are misogynist or reinforcing gender stereotypes. Mm-hmm. I guess I had a problem with that as far as the indie scene goes, because I think, especially a lot of the examples she used, it's kind of like some of their earlier games for a lot of these developers.
Yeah.
Sometimes even the first one. They're all pretty.
Like Super Meat Boy, right?
Yeah, like Super Meat Boy. She used a lot, actually. Well, she used footage from it a lot without really talking about it. But, in that game especially, is because that's made by people that are about my age, probably a little bit older than me. Mm-hmm. 5 years older than me or so. People in their early 30s. And I felt like she had just a total lack of context and awareness why somebody would make a game like that. As far as having the damsel in distress trope, just because I think a lot of people, especially when they want to get into the games, it was kind of a homage and a riff, a satirical riff on the games that had come before it, the games that inspired it.
Yeah, but
right, that's why there's a lot of exact framing in the cutscenes and stuff like that are infer other games, Double Dragon and She's another example. I can't remember which one it was exactly, but the one that sticks out in my head the most is Double Dragon, where the antagonist punches the protagonist girlfriend, Super Meat Boy's girlfriend. Mm-hmm. He punches her and captures her.
Yeah. I don't know. I was just thinking, though, with the whole satire thing, she kind of... I don't know. She feels that's a way for people to hide?
Yeah, it's kind of like she's kind of saying
It's
that,
like,
if you're...
It takes away the accountability of the message, but at the same time, like...
It kind of infers that people aren't smart enough to kind of decode it themselves and take it for what it is and what it's supposed to be.
Right.
It's like her imposition is that, like, people will just, like, see this as something to laugh at on the superficial level and not laugh at the fact that it is a trope. Especially because when you take satire, that's what you're doing. Like, straight satire, like, something that's straight is still satire, can still be satire.
Yeah, it's a taking of a story or iconic figures and kind of mocking what's going on in the world. That's what satire is.
Yeah, and by being just kind of really over the top with it. And the instances that she used a few clips from a couple games that were, like, the positive, were actual characters commenting on the situation. So, like, if it wasn't as, like, to her liking, it has to be super directed and actually spoken out loud, what the subtext is, rather than have it inferred. And, like, that's kind of just poor storytelling, first of all. Like, you know, she uses Monkey Island. The original Monkey Island. And, like, at that time, in the early 90s, you probably would have had to do that. And also it helps that the writing in that is really, really well done. It's a really well-written game.
Yeah, I like that game.
Because that is, she's completely right. That is a good example of something like a total subversion of roles, of classic tropes,
right?
Of gender roles. But I don't know. I mean, what did you think? Like, especially like she gives the example of Castle Crashers.
Oh,
and at the end of the game, you know, it's a co-op, basically like loot smash game. And at the end, you all have to fight each other to see who gets the princess after you beat the last boss.
Yeah.
And upon, like, whoever wins finds out that the princess is a clown.
Yeah.
Which is, like, that's, like, a meta commentary, meta joke.
Right.
About just the entire thing of, like, things aren't what they seem to be, and, like, what are you really after, blah, blah, blah. Like...
Right, I think that's a total, like, flip on the head, you know, like...
Yeah. Subversion of your expectations.
Exactly. So I don't understand why it's a big deal that this pretty princess is a clown.
No, I don't either, because she seems to like infer that like because that's in there, women are jokes. Women are clowns. Like, and I think that's really stretching it.
And that brings me to the other example she brings up a lot is a Splunky.
Oh, Spelunky, yeah.
Yeah, so Spelunky, it's like, she shows you first, you save, you know, a damsel, you're in these caves and spelunking.
Yeah, obviously. And you're saving damsels, and when you save these damsels, you get, like, health bonus through a smooch.
No, but then she shows that you can change the damsel from a kind of busty girl to, like, a Chippendale dancer to a dog.
Or a dog.
And she kind of then infers that, like, this equates women to... dogs and doesn't enforce any stereotype on a male when it does. And then she kind of ignores the fact that it does give you the option of like what you're saving, whether you're a male, female, or a kid or whatever.
Well, she brings it up, but she says just this simple like gender swap isn't enough because it doesn't say anything negative about men and only reinforces negative things about women. But I think the idea that option is in there is the game creators telling you that it's kind of it's superfluous. Like, it doesn't really matter.
I'm gonna save this pug.
Exactly, but it's just like it doesn't matter. Like, it doesn't matter if it's a girl or if it's... The reason why it was a girl in the first place is because it's a fucking homage and riff on older games. It is.
Yes.
And you can say whatever you want about older games, like, whether... Like, I don't think the intent to be misogynist was there. I think we're talking about just, like... immediately recognizable like tropes and stuff like that just get people invested in something, and it's more to do with like maybe like business than anything else. And also it's like a short and emotional shorthand, like for people especially at the time, right, when video games were new kind of burgeoning medium.
Well, no, I just like I kind of find it funny that she doesn't have an issue. I had an issue with it being a Chippendale guy. Like, why does that be the super muscular blonde like?
Well, to say that it's not reinforcing a stereotype. I mean, you
gotta save this hunk.
You can extrapolate it to like master race-esque like type of person. Like, if you wanted to. I mean, just because I believe like no matter what your thesis, you will be able to find something to prove it, whether or not like that evidence is like gonna hold up in court or whatever.
Yeah.
Like, is another story, but you'll always be able to like cherry pick information to prove your point. No matter what it is. And that's kind of just indicative of this whole series so far. Is that she does that. and entirely ignores other things, and also that she, especially this video, she didn't have tons of examples.
No, and she would show things, but not really talk about them. Whether it be like Super Meat Boy, she showed a lot, like you said, and didn't really talk about the game. All the app games that you can have for the smart things, the smart machines.
Yeah, she just kind of shows
the icons
and brief clips, if that.
If that, no, and so it's kind of like grouping a whole bunch of a medium together and just saying like, well, put it under the hacker,
Yeah.
Put it under the guillotine, like.
Well, that's the problem. I think the problem with it is, especially, is if you're going to kind of accuse people, however, roundabout way you're doing it, you should fucking, actually have, some, attack them.
Some meat to it.
Actually attack them.
Yeah.
Look at what's there. I think it's irresponsible to say that kind of stuff about people. That's when people just blindly throw out the word racism and stuff, or calling people racist and stuff like that without any real veracity to it. They just know that just saying that puts people on
their toes,
on notice about you.
Yeah.
So if I were to accuse you publicly as a racist, people would automatically kind of look at you differently without any evidence necessarily.
Right.
It's just because she's presenting herself as an authority on a subject, and she's making inference that people are kind of misogynistic and reinforcing these negative gender stereotypes. People are just going to take her word for it rather than kind of explore these things themselves and really get a good opinion about it.
Yeah, and it's kind of, I don't know, and the fact that these are going to be used, or the goal of these is to be used as an educational tool in schools, that's really irresponsible to not have any support for your argument, or to kind of, you'd fail.
Well, yeah, I mean, I think we brought this up last time. If this was a kind of just a video series that you were doing as a college presentation or something like that, outside of say if it was just in a multimedia course, well, maybe nowadays it would probably be looked at as positively as some people do look at this series. The media at large kind of really has gotten behind this for odd reasons, and a lot of it has to do with there's a large contingent of gamers who have had a very caustic reaction to it. But I think, as far as, her structure of arguments and, how she presents her case, I can't imagine, this getting anything more than, a C.
No.
Maybe a B, just for the fact that she has, graphics and stuff like that, and, special effects.
She uses some fancy terms every now and then.
Uses some fancy terms out of context, she doesn't even use some of them appropriately. I don't know, there's just such a weird bias when you do something this way, and it's dishonest, it's disingenuous.
Yeah.
And especially I hope the guys, the Super Meat Boy guys, come out and kind of defend themselves, because I really love to hear what they have to say about it, because I think they'll be pretty irritated. I would imagine they would be.
Yeah,
I don't know.
I would too.
Yeah.
Someone's taking something I created, spent time on, and kind of just throwing it into a sloppy argument.
It's like comedians when they have to defend a joke.
Yep.
And a politically incorrect joke. This is Louis C.K. defending a joke he told about pedophiles or something like that. You know what I mean? It's the transparency of the fact that this is a joke is so obvious. It's so obvious. What they're doing, how can you extrapolate anything from it than what it is, unless you're completely retarded? And not say that some people that play these games will not be mature enough, to, get it? Sure.
Right. That's
fair. But, to put that on, society as a whole, or all gamers, is pretty ridiculous.
I agree.
Because most gamers, and especially most gamers who play indie games and stuff like that, are fucking adults. Gaming is as big as it is because most people that play the games are adults. Kids can't afford $60 games and stuff. I mean, which I guess is why she maybe wanted to put some attention on the indie market. Those are much more attainable because they're a lot cheaper.
Yep.
Usually get them at a discount at some point in their life.
Fez.
Fez is a game I absolutely love, and I think because I think she gives some counterpoints about you can make these retro type games that are artistic, but you don't have to use a trope, and that's true. Just games of the time didn't always use the trope.
Right.
Like, she's, you know, when you single out just, like, the 20 examples that you have of, like, 200 games that might have been made in a 5-year period, like, that's not fair.
Right.
And it's not representative of games as a whole at all.
No.
The fact that those games happen to be the more popular ones sometimes, first of all, they're just, like, well-made games mechanically.
Right.
Like, if they sucked, if they were shitty games, you know, like, then they wouldn't have as much of a cultural impact. And, like, because, you know, you could bring up something like, there's a Super Nintendo game that's terrible. It's called Lester the Unlikely.
Oh,
and you're, like, this nerdy dweeb that's going through this fucking island, like, fighting crabs and stuff. And it's terrible. The game mechanically is horrible. There's nothing about that game that is, like makes you want to play it.
I want to fight crabs.
But that's like a subversion of like a male stereotypes and have this nerd be the protagonist. And
yeah.
And even though he's a bumbling fool, like he's still that's who you have to make do with and play through the end and actually end up achieving the ultimate goal, which is kind of, I think, it's just escape. I don't believe he's trying to save anybody or anything. I could be wrong.
Save himself.
He might be trying to save a girl. I don't know.
He might be trying to save himself.
But like even that, would that be something like, say if that game was mechanically sound, and say even if he had to save his girlfriend or something like that, isn't that still casting like this dweeby, helpless nerd a subversion?
Yeah. No, totally.
I mean, wouldn't that be fair?
No,
right?
I agree.
Because not only does it posit like
I wasn't aware of that game.
This weak guy has to do what he has to do to save his girlfriend, even though he's at a total disadvantage. It also posits the idea that not all girls just like hunky men.
No.
I mean, because she would be in love with a nerd.
Yeah.
Right?
Ew. No.
It's like weird science all over again.
Yeah.
God damn it.
No. I actually got annoyed at one point when she brought up Ghost Trick. Because I haven't beaten it yet, but I was playing that recently.
Yeah.
And she brings up the one scene where this goon is like in the apartment and this girl's tied up.
Tied up, saying help. Yeah.
What she completely ignores is the person who's ending up assisting the ghost detective is a spunky girl.
Yeah.
She is like getting through this mystery with the ghost detective.
Yeah, she's like...
She gets compelled to like figure out what's going on with, I think it's her little sister.
Yeah.
And a dog.
Yeah.
But at the same time, like, she's a big part of the story, and she's like figuring out this crazy mystery. That's not mentioned in her discussion at all. There was just one still frame of a goon, and they're goons. They're like, you know, these like weird looking
with
like
a captured damsel, with a captured woman.
With a captured woman.
And the entire
and that's not what the game's about at all.
No,
it's about you're this guy who gets killed, and then you try to figure out your murder, but you're a spirit, and you can inhabit objects to get through these puzzles.
Get through these puzzles to unlock kind of information and memories and blah 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 to find like basically give scenes context.
And so that's kind of like leads back to her fact that she kind of just takes things to suffice her argument. Yeah. And it kind of gets frustrating, especially when you play these games and you're like, well, did you really play it?
Yes.
Or do you even talk to anyone about it, really? Or do you just, like, have this research team and yourself, like, find little clippets? 10-second
sniffs.
It's not even a 10-second sniff. It's, like, a 5-second thing where the dialogue comes up. Yeah. And it's, like, totally, like...
And then the main protagonist says something slightly, like, sexist or misogynist. But I think isn't that part of, like, kind of the humor of the game and the fact that, like, he kind of gets called out on that stuff, I would imagine. I've never played Ghost Trick Phantom Detective, so... Yeah. I've not gotten around to it yet.
No, you
I'd
haven't.
like to play it, actually. I did buy it, so...
Yeah. I benefited from that.
Yeah, because I never had a DS until I met Sarah, so... And Sarah has a DS, so I'm like, oh shit, I should play DS games. Some DS games I've always wanted to play, and I still haven't gotten around to it yet.
Not my fault.
Not enough time to game these days.
Oh.
So I guess this is an uninformed opinion about video games.
Yeah. No, so that was to me, that's where it, like, hit me, because I was like, that's a game I just recently encountered, and you're kind of just because of one little, like, snippet, it kind of discounts, like, she's trying to discount the whole game. Or, like, lump it into that, like...
Lump it into that category to prove her thesis, which isn't fair at all. And that's kind of what you see just over and over again. And I think that's why the reason why she harps so hard on, like, Super Princess Peach is because that is the closest thing
to her, except for her own example
to
of the
her
video
thesis. Game. Except her own example, which we'll get into at the end there. But that's the closest thing she has to her, like, to support her thesis. That there's obviously was a lot of stuff in there.
Yeah.
Because she brings that up over and over and over again. Like, it never leaves. Even when she gets into the indie stuff, she brings it back up.
Yeah.
And then kind of goes into it more. So it was kind of like scatterbrained. And, like, in her like, position of, like, no, I'm not saying all women have to be super strong,
pull up by their bootstraps,
self-aware, pull up by their bootstraps, strong, independent women. Like, sometimes everybody needs help, blah, blah, blah. But she posits in a way, like, but you have to do it on my terms. And another interesting thing is going back to the whole indie game stuff. Like, a lot of those games, like, there's no characters. Like, they're completely one-dimensional, and they only are there to frame the mechanics of the gameplay and levels. Like, you know, for Super Meat Boy, for example, like, he's no more of a character than his girlfriend that he's trying to save, or the villain.
I have never played it, so...
Yeah, well, that's what I'm saying. Like, they're all just completely one-dimensional, and they're just there just so you have something to see in between levels, basically. Like,
right.
I mean, and it's funny, it's quirky, and they're there to serve kind of just, like, homage scenes to older games that, like, they obviously were quite fond of and grew up playing. So, like, I don't understand what the fuck she's talking about.
Strong language there.
Like, I mean, like, to impose, because everything that she is her basically personal opinion of what the thoughts of these characters are.
Yeah.
Like, there's no, like, the inference is fucking insane.
Yeah,
especially, like, the Spelunky thing.
She has a really hard time, I think, looking at things from other perspectives.
Yeah, it's not her goal, and because it wouldn't suit her agenda at all.
No.
And
I think that's terrible.
I don't mean to use, like, this draconian word of agenda, but, like, she has an agenda. That's her thesis, is to prove that video games are fucking misogynistic. And I think, like, maybe
But they're still super fun.
They're still super fun, yeah. I mean, like, there's some credence to this argument, and you could say that, like, well, yeah, should there be more female protagonists? It's like, I think the word should is a little... You're getting in some messy waters there, because, like, so do you want just male game developers just to cater to this other demographic for no reason? Or do we believe this stuff is art, and that people are making the things that they want to make?
Well, and that's the question. The only question I had consistently through this whole video, which she does eventually answer, was then what should the goal of, like, storytelling games be then? Mm-hmm. Because it seems like she goes from one side to another and says, well, this is okay, but not really. She does that a lot. She kind of, like, guess do some damage control in a way.
Yeah, because, she's trying to answer critics, basically. Like,
yeah, but at the same time, it's kind of like, then what should the goal be? Like, should it all be, like, these empowered women? Should it all be just shapes that co-op work together and jump
Thomas
in?
was alone?
Yeah. Like, you know, I'm a big rectangle.
Like,
you know, these generalist things.
Well, that's what we talked about before, like the asexuality, right?
Right.
Like nobody's allowed to be their gender, basically.
Yeah.
In that, because that's the conclusion she comes to, and that's what I'm going to infer from what you said, because that's kind of what she posits. Even like when she has like, let's do this thought game, this thought exercise about, and she kind of basically came up with a framing device to have a female protagonist, and she's a princess that's been captured and decides that she wants to break out. But when she breaks out, what does she have to do? She has to take on the characteristics of a male by putting on armor and dressing like a man. Yeah.
And then, you know, of course, no, she's called.
And she's a girl because she has, what, big eyes and a ponytail?
And small boobs.
And small breasts, which is extremely important. Extremely important.
Because boob size defines...
Anything bigger than a B cup, and you're heading into some misogynistic territory, I tell you.
Yeah. No, it's kind of true. Stop that. No, but... And the way she frames her taking on the more because she beats up a male guard, takes his armor, it's more practical is what it's put as. That's what she says, like, more practical clothes, because you can't run around in a dress. And this is something I said in the first video, is like, why can't I fucking kick ass in a dress?
It's a game. It's not real. It's not reality.
I could still kick ass in a dress.
Exactly. It literally has nothing to do with reality. It's a fucking video game. It could be anything you want it to be. Actually, you know, like... And
then she becomes an outlaw in the town and, like... Yeah. Confronts her captors.
A bandit.
Yeah.
No, that's the thing, like, and just because stories can be whatever you want them to be. And especially in video games, whether she's wearing armor or an armor-plated dress, really is of no consequence
No.
at all. And what's practical about fucking bulky armor, anyways?
Nothing. It's hard to move in.
But anyways,
But she can be very stealth in it, obviously, because she came bandit.
Yeah, that's true.
And she somehow got magical abilities.
Somehow. She hasn't fleshed it out very well, but somehow she roped Jennifer Hale, the famous voice actress, into doing the narration for it, so that was a little disheartening. But, what I want is, like, a video game could be anything you want it to be, a fiction story can be whatever you want it to be. You can create the rules, right?
Right.
Or there are no rules. There's a fantastic exchange between John Landis, the director, and his son Max Landis. Mm-hmm. And when Max Landis was a little kid, John Landis, they were talking about telling stories.
Of course, these are males.
These are both males, yes. They were talking about telling stories, and John Landis said something to the effect of, "Okay, well, how do you kill a vampire or a werewolf, or how do you kill a vampire, or how do you kill a werewolf?" That's what he said. How do you kill a werewolf? And Max said, "Silver bullet." And he said, "No, dummy." He's like, "You can do whatever you want because werewolves aren't real.
Yeah.
You can make up the rules. There's no fucking bearing on anything."
Right.
So, like, this assertion that she has to be, like, some kind of fall into actual gender fucking stereotypes by making her masculine, because that is the assertion that women have to be masculine to fucking mean anything.
Yeah. I can't be emotional.
Well, it's not even
That's the joke.
No, I know that. No, but, like, that's what so she, in a way, has just reinforced a trope.
Yeah.
Or reinforce the stereotype by kind of making her protagonist take on masculine features.
Yeah.
Or presentation, actually, rather.
Presentation, yeah.
Yeah.
That's better.
Yeah, she's not growing a mustache or anything.
That'd be sweet.
That would be sweet.
I've been working on mine.
Like I said, it's your story. Maybe in your universe that you've created,
There's a bearded lady.
women grow mustaches. And that's, like, and the more luscious your mustache, the more attractive you are. Because that's how the gender stereotypes in your universe work.
Yeah.
And you could tell a story about a girl that can't grow nothing but a dirt stash, and how she has to get through life.
That's terrible. I would never want a dirt
I call it
stash.
the ugly stash line. If I see that pop up somewhere, I will sue you. So I think I just found a new comic book idea.
Oh, God. I have to draw that, don't I?
No.
Actually, I'm going to.
But I don't know. I mean, what else did you kind of gather from this dissertation?
Like I was saying to you before we started filming, like this one didn't even provoke much thought in me, which was...
No, it didn't, because it's kind of like just saying the same thing over and over again.
Yeah, for the third time.
It's like her closing argument, because this is the last part of the Damsels in Distress, like, miniseries portion of tropes versus women in video games. Like, so this is like her closing statement.
No, I understand, but it just didn't force me to think too much beyond, like, well, then what would satisfy you, kind of? Like, what, and she kind of says that, but it's like, reinforcing her, like, skewed vision of everything.
Well, not only that, but while she, like, could pause an answer, because I think, like, if you're going to make an argument, making an argument is not good enough. Like, if you want to affect something, like change, you have to give ways to do it.
Right.
She doesn't do that, really. Really. She doesn't really do that. Because she's, like, so... almost, like, especially in this video, seemed very non-committal.
Yeah.
About her kind of the way she would go about it. And giving her the example that she gives in her video game is like, okay, well, fine. Make that video game.
Yeah, then
like,
do it.
Get involved in game development then. Like, I mean, seriously.
Quit bitching and start a revolution. That's what I always say.
We all want to change the world.
Yeah, no, but I'm just saying, like, it didn't force me to, like, think or, like...
It didn't challenge my preconceptions about anything.
No, it didn't.
So, and the end, and when it doesn't do anything like that, and if you're not preaching to the choir, then what is the point? Like, I mean, I think that's her point, is that she basically, just like political rhetoric, like 90% of your audience are people that already agree with you.
Yep.
So, like, the onus of proof is never put on you. You know, that's the way you assert it, because you just assert it as, like, well, it's obvious, it's fact. It's the way it is, whether it is or not.
Yeah.
And then you have enough people who agree with you, then you kind of have, like, group mentality and group think, like, comes into play.
The herd mentality.
And then you have people that don't know any better, and then will just believe you because you're a self-appointed authority.
Herd mentality.
Yeah.
Bah. Lemmings.
Well, I guess if it was women, it should just be the sound of just emotional outbursts.
According to Anita.
And crying.
Oh, that was a bad joke.
I mean, like, I don't know. I mean, it's like the positive examples she gave are games I actually are quite fond of, and I agree with. Like, Beyond Good and Evil.
Except for that the male she always shows is a pig.
Yeah.
Just saying.
The fuck, Anita?
I'm just saying.
Ubisoft? What are you trying to say? Maybe nothing?
Men are pigs?
No, there's other male characters that are animals.
Well, she didn't.
He's a badass pig, though.
But she never showed anything else besides when the male was a pig.
No,
I'm
exactly.
just saying.
That's some subconscious bullshit she's got working on us. Trying to brainwash us. This male pig imagery.
Just saying.
I mean, like, I like a lot of those games, but I don't see, like, those games exist just fine alongside games that she doesn't like. So, I mean, like, what has it really done? It's just like, okay, there's variety. Like, if your assertion is that, like, the majority of games are just, like, horribly misogynistic, like, what are you saying? Should men, like, impose, like, their conceptions of what a female character is in video games? Like, by making more female protagonists, they're probably still going to be largely made by men.
Yeah.
Games. They probably are, for a while.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, and a lot of that has to do with actual, like, what kind of girls are interested in when they're younger and how they develop and blah, blah, blah. And, like, so there probably is a dearth of women in the games development community. I mean, but some of the better writers and more popular writers for video games are women. Dragon Age, some of the biggest BioWare writers are women. Deus Ex, Human Revolution, main script written by a woman.
She's misogynistic.
Yeah, she's actually racist. I don't know if you played it.
No.
No, but yeah, she got called out for being racist because of having a black street character that talks like an Ebonics.
Oh, that's terrible.
It's a little startling, but I think you make the argument for it's not intentionally racist. It's very obvious. It's supposed to.
It's a Jar Jar.
Add texture to the world, so you see like these homeless bums and stuff like that.
It's a Jar Jar. Accidentally racist.
Accidentally racist.
I don't know. I don't know what the next section of this video installation is.
No, I don't really. I'll just take it as it comes.
So in 3 months.
I mean, so what are your closing thoughts about like this is the end of this miniseries? What has this left you with?
Nothing.
What do you know? What do you know now that you didn't know before?
Nothing. No, I'm not trying to be snarky. Like, this
No.
didn't engage me very much. It only caused me to like just question the logic of someone who's trying to educate people, and kind of scares me.
Yeah, that's kind of like what it's kind of, I guess, put a light on. I mean, this is something like people talk about in conversation when it comes to politics and religion and stuff like that.
Yeah.
We talk about these kind of people like Anita. I mean, that you could very easily group her into like that, like a preacher from a pulpit, like a biased preacher from a pulpit, or a politician that just says whatever he has to say to get elected.
It really leads me to question where the education system's going, if this is going to be seriously
Well, she
considered.
does. She speaks at colleges and things like that.
That scares me.
It scares me too. Because I don't know where her authority comes from. Like it's like Al Sharpton.
It could be like
why is Al Sharpton like the appointed moral authority for the black community?
Or it would be that also gives me hope. Then I got my degree in philosophy. I'm just going to go out there and speak wherever I can.
Start making video series about whatever, because you can prove anything. There's proof out there that if you cherry pick information, you can prove that Bigfoot exists. I mean,
I got a stack of books.
Or the Loch Ness Monster. You can prove.
Nessie does exist.
Oh, obviously, yeah.
Duh.
Eyewitnesses.
Chupacabras.
Probably, because this probably was a real animal at some point.
Yeah, ew. No, but I think that's what I feel like, is like if I could get enough push behind anything I put out there, like these or whatever, I could become an authority on...
Well, she didn't, like, just come out of nowhere. Like, I mean, Feminist Frequency has been around for, like, 3 years. And I think she slowly kind of built a following. And then this Kickstarter thing got a lot of...
attention.
Media. Yeah. It actually got media attention. And she probably solicited the outlets. She probably sent them, like, a press packet. Which is smart. That's what you do.
Well,
something I should fucking do. And I don't.
Let's get on it.
I never do that shit. For the first time in my life, a developer got in touch with me and actually gave me a review code for a game. That was pretty cool. Came out of nowhere.
When?
The other day. I was playing it. I played it when you went to sleep last night.
Sweet.
Yeah.
I didn't know that.
No, but like that's what. So she probably solicited for the attention. She got the attention. It's an intriguing concept. I mean, the video series stuff she had done before that are more the same, really.
Yeah.
It's a lot of assumption. An imposition of like thoughts. Like she imposes like what she thinks you think on you.
I know that you know that I know.
Yeah. You're all sexist. I mean, it's just such a bad position to have when you're talking about, like, serious cultural issues. And that's the thing that kind of makes me, like, kind of, not upset. Just kind of sad. Just kind of bummed out. Like, this is something we could talk about.
Yeah.
This is something we could, like, maybe change, but this is not the answer to that.
No.
Like, this is not, like, a fruitful way to have this discussion. Telling me information is different than having a conversation. Like, that's what you want to do. You want a video series like this to engender conversation amongst people.
Yeah, engender.
And it has to a degree, right? Like, it has. But I don't think...
It's not really
but
conversations, though.
But it's not on her that's happening. It's because so many people just are, like, kind of befuddled or disagree with her. Like, the more intelligent, like, comebacks to her videos are really fucking well done, a lot of them.
Yeah.
But the unfortunate reality is, like, you're gonna have, like, 60% of it's gonna be fucking internet trolls and 12-year-old kids and fucking, idiots. It's gonna be, because that's what the fucking world is full of them. Internet's no different. I can go to Walmart right now and walk through what feels like a post-apocalyptic fucking world.
Yeah. It's all true.
I feel like it's like idiocracy in there.
Oh my god.
That's what it feels like. And, like, like, the fact that it exists also on the internet, and people, because the quote-unquote anonymous nature of the internet, not so anonymous anymore.
No.
But, like, and it never really has been. But, like, people just feel comfortable spewing fucking whatever the hell they want.
Fuck LOL.
And it's just, and I get that, but you gotta deal with that, and you have to have enough awareness to be like, well, it's the fucking internet. Like,
yeah.
Nobody likes everything. Nobody's opinion's going to be totally agreed with.
I like everything.
Oh, me too. Especially when it comes to food.
That's true.
Yeah.
He's not lying there.
No, I'm kind of like a dump truck. Everything tastes good. It's not my fault.
You're ridiculous.
Especially when it's made by women.
That's why my feet are smaller. I can stand closer to the oven.
Mm-hmm. It's a true story.
Oh, I can't wait for the comments on that one.
That's the universe's... That's like the universe's, like... That's how women have evolved. Okay?
Oh my god.
It's like a survival mechanism like our bodies have gone through. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I have longer legs so I can reach the cabinets. Unlike some other people.
Because I'm kind of short. So, like... And basically what it means is, like, why even try?
Sarah, go get this.
Yeah, Sarah can get it for me. Not really.
I can't wait for the comments on that section.
No, I'm a big fan of what I call the tippy toe move.
Yeah, he is, actually.
And that's how I reach up higher places.
It's true.
Either that or I get a stool. Not that much. I'm not that short. I'm not, like, egregiously short. I'm not like some kind of freak.
God, now we're offending. Now we're offending people. Oh my god. Shaun. You're ridiculous. Oh my god.
I don't know, like, it's... There's only so much you can say about it, really.
No, I know. That's why I'm kind of slowing down, because it didn't really push my thoughts that far. That's why even in our second response, I don't say that much, because it didn't provoke me in any way. I mean, it kind of provoked me because I don't really agree with her, or at least don't agree with her approaches.
Yeah.
or her method, and maybe what she wants to do with the product, because I really don't see it as an educational tool.
I don't see how it can be. Anybody could take it seriously as an educational tool.
No, you're right, yeah, but it's also like, she's not really compelling. It's not really thought-provoking. It's not that even entertaining.
No, it's not. Like, it's not... Like, I know she would like to kind of view it as, like, an academic-esque, like, type series, and it's not academic at all, because opinions are not academia. I mean, well, there's somebody's opinions. I mean, you can't ever get away from the specter of opinions, honestly. But, like, it's not, like, you know, it's dead old white men.
No, it is. It's all dead old white men.
Well, that's academia. But,
yeah.
like, you know, but,
the
like...
great books are all dead white men.
Academia kind of implies something that's super well researched, an entire book worth of information, not an hour worth of biased videos.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, it would be different if she went and, like, made each of these, like, 45 minutes to an hour, fucking gave you examples, went through it, had interviews with developers, getting their reactions, getting, like, putting things into context.
And maybe that's what the funding should have been spent towards.
I know. Well, she raised a lot of money, and she could have done that. Like, and,
But I think I think these were already filmed, though.
It seems like it, because unless she's just wearing that same shirt.
Ew. It's the second time we brought that up.
Well, the thing is, like, if these are already filmed, then I guess, like, she could probably say, like, well, I, you know, tour colleges and stuff like that, give talks, that's why there hasn't been a ton of, like, that's why they're not out faster. Because I think you might be right. They might be already all filmed.
I think they are.
Which is horrible. Because then it doesn't even allow her the opportunity to address her detractors and stuff like that.
She doesn't even listen to her detractors,
She should be. Like, if she wanted to actually send a cultural message, and she wanted to, like, and I don't think that she has to. She does not have to answer anything. She does not have anybody to answer to. She does not owe anybody a fucking explanation. She doesn't.
She owes me a cookie, though.
She's just a fucking person. Like, she's just a person. Like,
No,
who has an opinion, just like everybody else on the internet. She does not owe anybody an explanation.
I know.
But if she wants this actually to be, like, affect change and improve society like, on a global scale, like, I think the mature and responsible thing to do, as far as this being an educational device, would be to fucking all the serious complaints people have, the serious ones, not like the fucking internet trolls. You take those, you go point by point, and you refute them.
Refute, not defute.
Defute. Making up words.
Yeah.
My small, feeble male brain. I thought I was supposed to be smart. I was born with a male brain.
Yeah.
No, but, like, I mean, like, that would be the mature, responsible thing to do, and that would, like, prove a point and be like, no, there is veracity to my argument. I can stand behind it. Like I said, I don't think she has to do that. I don't think nobody has a right to really, you could ask for it, I guess, but, like, there's no fucking real reason for her to do it. Especially because she's very comfortable hiding behind the fact that, like, internet trolls. She hides behind internet trolls so she doesn't have to.
She doesn't have to get emotional.
Yeah. Well, no, she does get emotional. Quite a bit, actually. But she hides behind the specter of internet trolls and the oppression that they hold her under so she doesn't have to answer anybody's arguments because it invalidates all arguments because of internet trolls. Which is just, if you're an adult and you have any type of intellect or understanding, awareness of, I assume the internet's, unless you just find out about the internet, maybe. Maybe, I think she's from Canada, so that would make sense.
Eh?
Gary?
No.
It's a little joke.
It's all over.
I like Canadians just fine.
They make good French fries with gravy and cheese.
Oh, they do.
Disco fries.
Ooh. That is good, actually. When I was in Montreal, poutine. Mm-hmm. When I was in Montreal, I had some sweet poutine one night at like 4:30 in the morning.
Yeah, me too. I wasn't there with you though.
No.
Separate
times. Back in my youth.
Jesus. But yeah, I don't know. I'm curious to see what the next. We'd probably go look it up on her.
I think you could look it up. I think it's on her Kickstarter page. Like she breaks down what they are and what the stretch goals were.
I think she edited it though on the video page, but I'm just curious. I don't know. I'm not.
Well, it's like with everyone that goes by, and the more of the same, I guess you could call it. It makes you care less.
Yeah.
It doesn't make, and it's. That's the thing. It's just like I don't. Like last time, we didn't even do the video until like 2 weeks after it came out.
Yeah.
It's because we kind of forgot about it. Like it's not. It's so slight that it doesn't fucking matter. I mean, I guess you could. This is just a very transparently like fucking channel hit video.
Yeah.
At this point, that's what it feels like. It feels a little exploitative. I'm sorry. I mean, it's something I do want to talk about because I think it's important that there is like actual conversation and actual like responses to her that aren't just caustic and reactionary and knee-jerk. So I like being able to be part of that.
Yeah, I agree.
And having this more discussion-based like format as far as refutation layer. But like, it doesn't matter. No, not really. It doesn't affect my point of view or anything. I would love it if she could make a video I would agree with. Like, but I don't think I ever will just because of her, like, there's just fundamental flaws in the foundation of what she's saying.
Yeah.
Or her fundamental flaws in the way she structures her arguments and stuff
I
like
think
that.
it's more in the structure than what she's saying.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Or extrapolate?
No, I'm just...
File?
No, because it is an interesting subject we could explore, and I do find some, I guess, validity, too, but, like, I think the way she presents it does her more harm than good. Yeah. And that's what aggravates me more than anything, is, like you said, she's telling you what to believe. What to believe, or what she knows what you were thinking. Yeah. And then she doesn't really, expand on what she says a lot, either. No. Which I'm not very good at doing either, obviously, through these videos.
No, that's cool, because it's commentating on...
No, I know. No, but I'm just saying, she doesn't add really breadth, and she doesn't ever, leave question to us as viewers to think about anything. No. Which I think is something that if you're trying to challenge these, concepts and ideas, then you want to pose questions and, pose problems. Yeah. But you don't really. You just tell me that this is a problem, and this is how it's been a problem, half-assed.
The smartest form of argument is, in my opinion, is the Socratic line of questioning. Yeah. When you pose questions to get people to come to the conclusion themselves. Yeah. You don't ever tell people things. When you're making a case for something or arguing, you don't ever tell people things. It's not how you convince people. Like, if she really wanted to convince people that had different ideas about this, that would be the way to do it. And that seems pretty fucking common sense to me. Yeah. Because anything else comes down as condescending. Yep. And her demeanor, which is just a sidebar, her demeanor is not pleasant. You know what I mean? It's just not she's...
It's snarky.
It's snarky. And it's snarky, but she's talking about what she feels is extremely gravely serious things. Yeah. So it's even that's a little confused. The tone is confused. Yeah. Which is unfortunate.
I agree.
Unfortunate for you, Anita. I don't know what you did with all that money. I really don't.
She bought 5 of the same shirt.
I'm trying to... Yeah. Gotta have that. Those Target shirts are not as cheap as you may think.
$20.
$22 or something like that, man. No, but I don't know. You would think this educated college graduate would understand how to properly formulate an argument and a thesis and how to support it and how to
don't impose that.
Yes, I know. I'm imposing my assumption of intelligent people onto Anita Sarkeesian, so I apologize, Anita. You'll never watch this, but I apologize to you.
Maybe she does.
And it's just and it's also like we said at the beginning, at the top of this episode, the last thing we'll talk about, I guess, is that we thought this was going to be a more positive slant.
Something to support her argument more.
Yeah, well...
Or her
but it would be have steeped in positivity, right? Because...
to show how it has happened and how it could happen,
or how it can be changed. Give examples of things in the medium that are, but she brushes over the positive examples she has and just completely focuses on the negative.
Again.
Yeah. Because you only have to say the same thing so many times. I get your point. You don't have to keep doing it.
Beating me in the head with it.
Give me don't. And then when you find something like Beyond Good and Evil, the video should have been deconstruct how Beyond Good and Evil is a positive thing.
Right. Don't just briefly mention it and then continue on.
And then continue on.
To a negative.
Yeah. So it's like, that's also another problem with, I think, the series as a whole, is that it's just been overly negative. And people get, like, defensive because of that. And that's why you get kind of really reactionary, caustic reactions. Mm-hmm. That was a poorly constructed sentence. But, like, yeah.
You think good.
Me think brave. So, like, that, yeah. Like, I guess that's
really it.
That's really it.
Like, I hate to not seem so engaged, but I really don't have a ton to say about it.
I know. As you keep prattling on about girls. No, I guess, yeah, I don't really have anything else to say about it. I mean, I'll watch the next one. I'm going to keep watching. We're going to keep doing these videos. However boring it ends up being. And I will keep pushing them to almost nearly an hour, just because. I dare you to watch this whole thing.
No, they won't. They'll get to 13 minutes in and they'll say something.
Yeah, and then start making comments. Which, actually, I would just like to thank people. There's actually been a lot of very positive and thoughtful discussions, even with people that disagree with us.
Yeah. No.
So we have not really come across too much hostility, honestly. Just maybe a few times, like, because of people kind of just imposing or not really listening to what you say, because
making it 13 minutes into an hour-long video and formulating their argument at 13, and then their reasoning for being at 13, they just felt sick to their stomach, which I kind of find it hard to believe.
Well, that's just because if you're gonna have an opinion about something, you should at least at least sit through it. And
know the whole of the argument you're arguing against.
Yeah,
and
then refute it and not call people like self-loathing and females and stuff like that. But thankfully, we haven't come across a lot of great comments, a lot of fruitful discussion, and even every once in a while, I'll learn something too, and give you different points of view to think about and talk about.
Yeah, I appreciate that.
So do I. And it's kind of another reason why it's kind of nice doing these things. It's kind of like, well, there is actually a lot of people out there that have real thoughts, real problems,
as opposed to the fake thoughts.
As opposed to fake ones that were made in a factory with the peaches
in Idea Land.
Idea Factory. So that's going to do it for us. I'm Sean.
I'm Sarah.
And thank you for watching this special presentation on the Natural Gamers channel, Dudes in Distress.
I am about ready to go be a self-loathing female now. Goodbye.
And I'm going to force you to do that as well. I'm going to remind you how stupid you are.